Italian Football Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Questions from the Italian Football Podcast Patrons, where you, our patrons, decide what the show is about by simply sending in your questions via DM on Patreon. I'm joined, as always, by Carlo Garganese. So let's start with the first question, which has been sent in from Ahmed Khaled. He says, Antonio Conte back to the Azzurri bench. What do you reckon? It isn't going well in terms of relationship between ADL and Conte based on rumors, and even if he can still lead Italy in the World Cup if Italy qualifies, what do you reckon? Italy plays a 3-5-2 because there are no wingers available, and to get this Bastoni, Dimarco side to replicate what they do at Inter. I mean, he knows 3-5-2 well, can make Italy play as a unit, have an identity in Grinta, plus he made Italy go to the final of the Euros with Graziano, Pelle, and Eder. No, he didn't. He didn't go to the final of the Euros with Graziano. Quarterfinals, yeah. Lost to world champions Germany, thanks to the Simone Zaza, whatever the hell that was. My lineup then would be Donnarumma, a right centre-back, Calafiori, Bastoni, Cambiasso, Coyote on the wings, Barella, Ricci, Tonali. Coyote, Dimarco on the wings, Barella, Ricci, Tonali. I think he's got Cambiasso or Coyote. Cambiasso or Coyote on the right as a right wing back. Ricci, Barella, Tonali, Dimarco, Esposito, and Keane/Retegui. Now my lineup would be Donnarumma in goal. I would have Bastoni to the left, Calafiori or Buongiorno in the middle, and I would have. We need a right centre back, and right now I know you don't like it, but I think Gianluca Mancini is the best one. I think on form, but obviously that will change. But if we're going just on form, I'd probably choose Gianluca Mancini. Then as a right wing back, I would probably have either Michael Coyote or Cambiasso. Barella, Ricci, Tonali I like. Dimarco or Udogi, whichever, depending on who you're playing, because I think if you're playing a team that defends deep, Dimarco's crosses are really useful. If you're, you can use both. And then up front, Retegui has to start, and so does Moise Kean. I love Pio Esposito, but he doesn't stake a place as a starting line. Like Keane and Retegui have to start right now. You can bring in Esposito and so on, but for me, Keane and Retegui are the natural starters in that 3-5-2 system.
Yeah, I mean, getting back to the question, Conte obviously would be amazing based on where we are, but yeah, I don't.
Do we really want to do the reheated minestrone thing? Like,
what's the alternative?
I think Simone Inzaghi.
Cold minestrone is the
no,
alternative.
Simone Inzaghi is not cold minestrone.
But that's not going to happen for the World Cup. Inzaghi, you're not going to get Inzaghi for the World Cup. We're talking about what potentially could happen if Conte, leaves Napoli because it all goes.
He's not going to leave Napoli. It's not going to happen. And
I wouldn't rule it out, but it seems like things have settled down in the last week after these last two results.
It's Antonio Conte. You have to remember his ego. He knows that if he walks out on Napoli, then that's it. He can't do that. It's about leverage. It's about his ego and his career. He knows that if after everything Napoli has done, and De Laurentiis is the reason for this, he has played a blinder. The fact that he's given Conte zero to complain about and defended him publicly, he's played the game brilliantly. So if Conte knows that if he walks out now, that's it. That's his top career. Like we won't get a bigger club. Juve won't take him back. Marotta won't touch him even with a 10-foot pole. And Milan is Allegri. So where's he going to go?
I wouldn't rule it out, Nima. I wouldn't. We've thought that this before in the past. I think he'll still get another club. But yeah,
look. I'm not saying he won't get one. I'm saying if he walks out of Napoli now in the manner in which he does, nobody will.
I think that's irrelevant to the question. The question is Italy. Would that be good for Italy? Yes, of course it would. It would be amazing for Italy compared to what the alternative is. So that's the question.
I think the ideal solution would be Simone Inzaghi.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen for the World Cup. That's the point. Whereas Conte could if he left Napoli. I think that's the point of the question.
I don't know. I just don't see him leaving Napoli. I think now that he's got this 3-4-3 working, Conte's back to his basics, and he's playing a back three, and he's playing the simple long ball up, and his calcio verticale. He's found he's got his He's got his Danish Lukaku, who's, you know what I mean? Like he's cozy, he's loving it, and he's got David Neres doing that, and Lang. No, he's not going anywhere. I think he's happy. He's in a good place, and I can guarantee you that if Milan, mark my words, if Milan or Inter are in, or anyone is within 2 points of him come January, when it's time to play the round of 16 or the qualifying, or what do you call it, the playoff round in the Champions League, he will punt it. He will punt it. He knows that titles and trophies matter. He doesn't give a shit about finances. He wants trophies. And if he can win 2 Scudetti in a row with Napoli, he will punt it. He will punt it because he knows he can't win the Champions League. He can win the Serie A. So, you know, again, it's his ego. So he's not going anywhere. I really think that, like, I honestly am just even more convinced that I think Napoli are our favorites with Milan. Milan behind Napoli, but Napoli are huge favorites to win the Scudetto. I think the fact that they've had this conflict and everything's settled down, I don't see him leaving Napoli. But yeah, of course, the question, would Conte do back at the Conte? Of course he would. He's fantastic. He's a tactical genius. He would be brilliant. Next question, Daniel Ljungström says, I see that Rolando Mandragora has an expiring contract. In my opinion, to be a serviceable player for rotation for Juve. Do you think he's good enough to be back up at a good team?
Juve, no. Juventus need to start being if they want to be a serious club, they need to start buying serious players.
Don't talk shit about Mandragora.
Not these level of players, but could it be a backup? I mean, yeah, I guess. I think his level is Fiorentina. If I'm honest with you, I think that's his level. Like he's a kind of Europa League, lower Europa League, Conference League level kind of team in Serie A.
Agreed.
That's what I see him as.
As painful as it hurts me to say, I think I agree. Next question, Roman D'Alessandro. Hi guys, what do we? This question was what I was laughing at. It's brilliant. What do we think of the structure in Serie C these days? I was explaining it to a friend of mine the other day, and he looked at me like I was crazy. Does the playoff model and regional division of the 60 teams still make sense in 2025? Thanks again for all the content over the international break. And also, where do you see Barella in 2-3 years? Will he still be at Inter? I'm starting to see a very similar trajectory that Pirlo had. I could see Barella benefiting from a move that at age 31, 32, Pirlo was when he left for Juve. The structure of the Serie C is insane, but we don't touch it. Look, I don't have that much joy in club
Just
football.
Explain.
I can't do. Are you serious? Well, it's divided across regional lines.
There's 3 regions, right? 20, 20, 20.
Let me read it to you. Let me just bring it up. So there's different groups. Let me find it because it's not that easy, and this has to like make sense. Let me see where we go. My favorites. I've got it. Of course, I've got it as favorites on SofaScore. Let me see. What the hell? They've created this, like they've made it so that, let me see, competition. Let me see, Serie C. There we go. The Girone. Okay, so I'm gonna read the Wikipedia entry because at least that makes more sense. Okay, here we go. Serie C. It's called the Serie C Sky Wi-Fi. That's the name of it. Just the name alone is brilliant.
Wi-Fi has come to Italy.
I mean, the name alone is just mwah. And it's governed by the Lega Pro, of course. And so its structure is like this. It's composed of 60 teams divided equally into 3 groups split horizontally in geographical terms from north to south. And so during the regular season, teams play in a round-robin format solely within their group, with the two halves of the season having exactly the same order of fixtures. 3 points for a win, 1 for a draw, none for a loss. And then, at the end of the regular season, one table per group is determined based on points. No strange things there. And then if 2 or more teams are tied on points, they do head-to-head goal difference, all that. Then a total of 4 teams are promoted to Serie B and 9 teams relegated to Serie D. So the winner of each group is directly promoted and qualifies for the Supercoppa di Serie C, which they play at the end of the season. Teams which have finished in the bottom of the league are directly relegated. So, and the other divisional changes are determined through a complex system of promotion and relegation playoffs. So you've got promotion playoffs, and they work like this. 28 teams compete to achieve the only available spot for Serie B. So 27 of them are the teams which are finished from 2nd to 10th, 9 per group in Serie C. The 28th team is the winner of the Serie C Coppa Italia. And there is a total of 6 rounds. The first round, it's the fixture pair, 5th versus 10th, 6th versus 9th, 7th versus 8th. The second round, fixtures pair, 4th versus the worst placed team, and the best placed team versus the second best placed team from the previous round. And then you have the first round and second round, and it only consists of single leg games. And if the teams are tied after 90 minutes or regular time, the higher placed team goes through. So there's no penalties or anything like that. Then you have the third round, and the three third place teams, Coppa Italia Serie C winners, Coppa Italia Serie C winner, and the best placed team from the previous round are seeded, and the fixtures are drawn. Then you have the quarterfinals. The 3 second place teams and the best place team from the previous round are seeded, and fixtures are drawn. The third round and quarterfinals consists of 2-legged games, with the seeded team playing at home for the second leg, and if the teams are tied on aggregate, the seeded team advances. The 4 winning teams reach the final 4, which is a semi-final and a final. The final 4 fixtures are drawn. All games are 2-legged, and if the teams are if it's tied on aggregate, extra time and penalty shootout. Clear as day.
Christ almighty. I remember Fodger going through this quite a lot of times, and they're always used to get done on the away goals rule.
Yeah, they've removed that. They don't have that anymore.
No, when I say away goals rule, I mean like the seeded team basically just needs to draw and go through to the
yeah.
Which is just so ridiculous.
Because it's because they want to promote you finish higher in the league. No, it's the Serie C is brilliant.
That shit, yeah.
It's brilliant. It's Italian bureaucracy,
and it's all a complete waste of time anyway. Because once all that's all said and done, half the league gets demoted.
Well, that's exactly
anyway,
what I was going to say.
Because of the financial irregularities.
What Wikipedia doesn't say is that once that has been sorted, then it's time for the courts to come in. Then the court season starts.
The court season, yeah.
And then the playoffs in the court system starts.
Yeah. And then the new season gets delayed by a month because there's all the appeals and what's going on.
And it's so good. It's so good. Roman. I as a fellow Serie C fan, I know exactly how it feels to explain it to people. People look at you like you're demented, like you're having a seizure when you're trying to explain it. So I share your pain, brother. As for Barella in 2-3 years, I don't think it's just Barella. I wonder if Barella, Lautaro, Çalhanoğlu's getting on a bit, but my overall question, I was having this conversation with Patrick Kendrick, and I'm thinking that it's not just one player. I wonder if it's not like all of them together. That either you bring in a manager that completely tears up everything, a new way of playing, new way of training, new way of attacking, or you start to think about refreshing things. Because maybe I don't know what it is, but it just everything feels a bit stale at Inter right now, and it has done for a while now. I don't think we should get rid of Barella because the alternative, and I'm against selling Bastoni too, because I think the alternative is, well, who are you going to bring in that's better? But I do think that sometimes, not just with managers, but also with playing squads, it's a good thing to maybe refresh. And people, making fun of Pirlo or making fun of Milan for selling Pirlo, people need to remember that Pirlo was not having a good time at Milan towards the last 1 or 2 seasons. And him going to Juve, working with Conte in a new environment, that invigorated him to have a second dominant spell of his career. A lot of people forget that he had stagnated a bit at Milan after 10 years.
He had a few injury issues as well. But yeah.
So, we shouldn't, it's very simple to say, oh, Milan, you stupid idiots, you let Pirlo go on a free transfer. But they forget that, sometimes just a change is good for everybody, for Pirlo, working with Conte at a new club, a new environment where he wasn't safe, where he had to adapt, and that gave him a second spring, if you will, in his career, which was good for him in Italy, and of course Juve. So we can't, it's easy to just criticize a player, but after many years of having been someplace, maybe it's good for change. I don't know if Barella is part of that, but I do think that I'm starting to feel that maybe it's starting to get a bit stale. I think that.
I actually agree. I think I want to. I'm almost starting to think. But I've been saying it for ages. He just every other game he looks tired, or he's just not. He's inconsistent. And is that just because he's burnt out, as we've maybe hinted at, played too much earlier in his career, too many miles on the clock, or is it, like you said, could it be maybe a bit of a Pirlo situation where maybe he just needs a new challenge?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I hope not. I hope I hope that he gets a full rest and can return to the Barella we know, because he's played non-stop since COVID. Maybe a full summer's rest could do him good. Maybe, I actually think Christian
that could actually happen. I hope it doesn't.
No, please don't say that. 3 World Cup. It's not even funny. Like, I can't. Don't. I can't even take. Like, no. Please, don't. It depresses the shit out of me. 3 World Cups without Italy. Come on. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Next question, Rob Rizzi. Next question from Rob Rizzi says, did Donald Trump get Cristiano Ronaldo off his World Cup ban? Oh, come on.
Well, let me tell you what happened. So Cristiano Ronaldo was sent off for Portugal against Ireland in a World Cup qualifier for elbowing an opponent, Dara O'Shea, in the back. Now, violent conduct like this always carries a 3-match ban. This would have meant that Ronaldo missed the first 2 matches of the 2026 World Cup next summer in the United States. But incredibly, FIFA decided to just change the rules and make the second and third matches suspended for a year.
They didn't change the rules. They have the ability to do that. So they didn't change the rules. They used their discretion in a rather.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right.
No, but they do. They didn't change the rules. They have that ability to.
Of course, they have the ability. That's part of the problem, that they have the ability.
Exactly.
Violent conduct like this is always a 3-match ban. Okay, but now Ronaldo won't be suspended at the World Cup and he can play right from the first game. Officially, FIFA took it. Well, sort of officially, this is what they've been briefing, is that they took into account that Ronaldo had never been sent off for Portugal in his career. Now, this announcement comes just days after Ronaldo was a guest of Donald Trump at the White House for an all-star banquet, rubbing shoulders with the elite, people like Elon Musk and others, and he received a special award from Trump. Now, no other player in world football, other than maybe Messi, would have been given this special favoritism. Again, what can you say?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Look, the fact that FIFA protects its gems is it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. They've always done it. They want to protect. They always protect their and this is the World Cup in the US. He's a huge star. He has a huge fan base, and they want him to be there from the very beginning, and of course they did. I mean, that's just FIFA. Donald Trump had nothing to do with this. Like, come on. I mean, come on. No, it's got to do with the fact that he's one of the most marketable names in sports, period. They're going to the US. The World Cup is going to be there. Him missing games before the tournament has even been drawn, they of course they're going to interpret their own rules rather generously and bend over backwards to get him to play. But blaming Trump for this is, I mean, come on. It's a bit.
Well, they are special friends now. The very fact that, I have to be careful what I say, the fact that Ronaldo was in the United States after many years away was also, I think, probably Trump had a lot to do with that. It's terrible. This World Cup's already been pretty scandalous for many reasons. You've got the ticket prices that are insane. You've got the format of the qualification, the size of the World Cup, the fact that they're giving these double standards. That even goes, again, don't want to go into politics, but the double standards that we've seen with certain nations being part of the qualification process, some being banned. And then, now this with Ronaldo. It reminds me of the 1962 World Cup, Garrincha, who, along with Pelé, was the big star of world football back in 1962. And in the semi-final of the 1962 World Cup, Garrincha was sent off for kneeing an opponent. Blatant violent misconduct. FIFA overturned the ban so that Garrincha could play in the final, which Brazil then won 3-1 with Garrincha the star. And this is like that. This is exactly the same. They've just decided the rules, but the difference is that we're now supposed to be in 2025. 1962 was supposed to be apparently a backwards time, but now we've gone back to 1962, and we're giving special treatment to the game stars.
Yeah. Just so we know, I mean, I'm reading off of Wikipedia now again, so this is all kind of just to give you the background, and this has all kind of been is in the open. And obviously what people have been referring to is, obviously, in April 2017, it was reported that Ronaldo was being investigated by the Las Vegas PD for an allegation by a woman that he had raped her in 2009. Documents confirmed by Ronaldo's lawyers state that Ronaldo paid a woman $375 in a non-disclosure settlement. Ronaldo and his lawyers issued a lengthy statement denying all accusations, describing them as an intentional defamation campaign, which with parts significantly altered and or completely fabricated, a claim which Der Spiegel categorically denied, who reported it. In July 2019, Las Vegas prosecutors said they would not charge Ronaldo over allegations of rape. Releasing a statement saying, based upon a review of information at this time, the allegations of sexual assault against Cristiano Ronaldo cannot be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Then the same woman, Miss Mayorga, who has consented to her name being used publicly in this, that she is the person that has filed the civil suit, stated in September 2018, she filed a civil suit in Canada accusing Ronaldo of rape. So this is not a criminal case, but a civil case. Then court documents reported in 2021 stated that Miss Mayorga sought £56 million in damages. In October 2021, Federal Magistrate Court Judge Daniel Albrecht recommended that the lawsuit be dismissed, citing that the woman's lawyer, Leslie Stovall, acted in bad faith by asking for, receiving, and using Football League's documents to prosecute the case, despite the documents containing privileged communications between Ronaldo and his lawyers. Additionally, the judge stated that no evidence was found that Ronaldo's lawyers having intimidated the woman or impeded law enforcement during the 2010 settlement with her. In June 2022, Ms. Miyoga's rape lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice in the U.S. District Court of District of Nevada, as District Judge Jennifer Dorsey ruled that the lawyer Leslie Stovall's repeated use of cyber-hacked attorney-client privilege documents were actions representing abuses and flagrant circumvention of the proper litigation process. So again, we have to be correct in what is happening there, and that's the status of it. So Trump had nothing to do with it. Like we can't say that. We can't even suggest that. That's not even like no, unless someone has evidence that he did. By all means, present it, but we can't make up shit that we don't have any evidence for. It doesn't matter if it's Trump or Biden or whoever. Like, we have to be clear. That's the state of play. He's not being prosecuted or investigated for anything criminal wrongdoing in connection with that rape. And apparently, the civil case has been thrown out for the reasons I just outlined. Just so we're clear. Do I think that FIFA bend their own rules to have Ronaldo play? Of course they did. Of course they did. I mean, if Messi is to be, if Messi were, if this were Messi, it'd be the same thing there. They want their biggest stars to be there in the US in the World Cup. It's as simple as that. Or are we?
Yeah, no, I'm saying no more. I'm saying no more.
Next question. Johnny Manja says, can you please break down why Napoli has been more successful than Roma in recent history? Better recruitment, better owner, better youth development.
We answered this question last week, the exactly same one. So I'll just redirect to last week's Q&A.
We did. And again, it's got to do with the fact that De Laurentiis is a brilliant club owner. You know, he is. We just got to hand it to him. Roma have had some troubles in that department, but I think they're stabilizing now. But De Laurentiis has been doing excellent work for how long is it? It's almost been 25 years now, hasn't it? How long has he been there?
Over 20 years.
Yeah.
21 years, I think. 22, yeah.
Yeah. Christoffer Capoferro says, we keep seeing the same players struggle with determination, motivation, and pride when wearing the Azzurri shirt. Some even refuse call-ups. The passion seems gone, and the players almost look afraid when representing Italy. We know Lippi said he didn't call up the best players, but the players who best fit the system. Should Gattuso think outside the box and call up new players instead? Some potential options: Baldanzi, Cancellieri, Pisilli, Cataldi, Colpani, Grifo, Berardi, Zaniolo, Bertola, El Shaarawy, Romagnoli, Bonazzoli, Miretti. Or should he take an even more radical approach and build a squad around the under-21s? If you look at the under-21 players, many of these players play at a decent level. What do you think?
I mean, the problem is, look at those names. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, is this what we're really? This is the problem. You know, none of those players are going to. I mean, most of those players are not even playing for their clubs.
Yeah.
Baldanzi barely plays. Cancellieri this season a little bit in and out to his injury. Pisilli doesn't get a game for Roma. Cataldi barely gets a game. Colpani doesn't get a game. Grifo, okay, but he's of a certain age. Berardi of a certain age. Zaniolo's dropped down to Udinese. Bertola barely gets a game. El Shaarawy barely gets a game. Romagnoli, just no. Bonazzoli, he's playing for Cremonese. Miretti barely gets a game. I mean, are these the potential alternatives to try and turn things around? If they are, then that tells you everything about the crisis of production of Italian talent right now. To be frank.
Yes, I got nothing more to add. Next question, John. Greetings from Canada, Carlo Nima. Thank you very much for all the content. As a new fan of Serie A, you two are the best. I really enjoy listening to the pod and hearing each of your opinions on the league. Thank you so much, John. And many people have said this, and it's like the nicest compliment we could ever get is people who like the Serie A because of us. I mean, that is just unbelievably humbling. And thank you for that. So thank you. And welcome to the madness and welcome to the madhouse. Or as Filip Helander, when I interviewed him, said that when he came to Hellas Verona and he was introduced to the squad, when he spoke, when Luca Toni came up and introduced himself, he said, "Welcome to the jungle." So welcome to the jungle, John. His question is, the holiday season is upon us, and I would like to know where Carlo gets all of his nice jerseys. Also, with Inter's recent loss to another direct rival, do you think that the team needs a change of identity? Do the core set of players have what it takes to rebound? A lot of people have asked us about these jerseys, and we should be sponsored by them. I really think we should. We should contact them.
Yeah, well, good luck with that, given they're based in China. But yeah, yeah, just DM us privately, and we can give you the name. It's not something that we're really allowed to promote publicly, to be honest with
you. So as for Inter lost recently to another direct rival. Do you think the team needs a change of identity? Do the core set of players have what it takes to rebound? I just reiterate what I said about the question about Barella. Maybe it's time to bring in a manager that is completely like from scratch. Do you know what I mean? Like someone who plays with a back four, or Diego Simeone, for example, is a complete move away from everything Inter have done. Do you know what I mean? Like even if it is a back three, it's someone with a completely different way of playing, something to switch things about. I think it's that. I think from Conte to Inzaghi and now to Kivo, there's been changes. Obviously, Conte and Inzaghi don't play the same, but it's kind of similar, if you know what I mean. But maybe you need someone who's a complete breakaway from that. I don't know. What do you think?
Maybe if you're talking about just the club itself, if we're talking about Italy national team in general.
No, he's talking about Inter. He's talking
about Inter. Yeah, but I mean, in terms of you, just following on from your point about change of direction, going to a back four, given that everyone plays back threes, and now even Conte's gone back to a back three as well in Italy. Just on making a wider point, there's been a big debate in Italy following Milan's win over Inter in the derby. More from a Milan point, not from a Milan point, from a broader point of view, that we shouldn't be celebrating kind of the way that Milan beat Inter. Similarly, like we're celebrating kind of Conte's success last season with Napoli, the way that it's being done, that this is no way for Italian football to progress and become, in terms of the production of players, winning in this kind of way, playing this kind of way. That's become a big debate. I saw that discussed on Italian TV and quite a lot of stations. So I'm just going on from your point about kind of like changing direction. Yeah. Obviously, it's different. What is good for the club is not necessarily good for the national team. But there's the short-termism, which you discussed in the last episode as well. Was it last week about kind of like why do they not give Italians more of a chance? So it's an interesting debate. But I think at the end of the day, clubs will always think of themselves, unfortunately. In Italy, anyway. Yeah. Other countries are a little bit more willing to think of themselves as an ecosphere that they think of everything. Italy doesn't think like that. And that's
it's because it's so much politics, internal politics in the Serie A. It is what it is. They couldn't even agree on a CEO for the Serie A, so for many years they had an interim CEO with limited powers and could get nothing done. And so every bloody week all 20 presidents had to meet and vote like this.
Well, they prefer to take a lower TV deal, which would make them all poorer, rather than take it just because of the politics, rather than accepting a much better TV deal, which would make them all richer. Which was for the good of everyone and the Serie A, of course, and they still wouldn't. So yeah.
David Bacharach says, a patron's question about the best player eligible for Italy but played for a different team got me thinking about Giuseppe Rossi. He's arguably the most talented player to come from America before Pulisic, and is a big what if. However, how do you think a healthy Giuseppe Rossi changes Italy in the 2010s, if at all, and what heights could he have reached? I think he's one of the biggest what ifs. I feel so bad. He was such a talented player. He really was.
Yeah, it was. What he was doing at Villarreal, incredible, wasn't he? And yeah, we don't. He is a big what if. We just don't know, do we?
The thing is, I know everything we always say. For 5 years we've talked about and contextualized and tried to discuss all the problems the Italian football have, and we all stand by that. But bloody hell, a bit of luck. I mean, Zaniolo, Chiesa, Rossi. I mean, it's just Scalvini, Scamacca, like all these talented players that come up. Yeah, it's just like, you know,
how much of that is luck? I'm sure some of it is, but how much of it is, again, outdated training
methods,
coaching, facilities, medical facilities, nutrition, certainly training. I mean, if you look at Napoli this season, as much as we love to praise Conte, like how amazing he is, there's no doubt about it. That's down to him. And I saw in his post-match, or it might have been pre-match ahead of the Champions League game, he was saying there's some things I can control. There's some things I can't control. The injuries I can't control. And I just thought, no, that's big time because of you. You can control that. You have to alter your methods, which are causing all these injuries. But so yeah, I think that is a lot down to us as well.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Roma. Do you remember Roma? How many ACL injuries they had? Not just Italians.
Yeah, but Lazio never got it. Like, that's the weird part.
Because I think it was down to the Roma training ground. Down to the training ground. Yeah.
Yeah, but they still got it after they changed the grass, and I mean everything. It's just, I don't know. It's weird. I think it's one of those things. But let's just say that Italy have not been lucky with injuries.
Yeah, we can say that if Italy hadn't got these injuries, I'm sure things would have been better. I mean, imagine having a Chiesa and Zaniolo available for the Italy. I mean, they were young when they burst onto the scene. Like Chiesa erupted when he was kind of like 22, 23. And Zaniolo erupted even earlier than that, like when he was like 20, 21. Imagine having those two for the Italy national team for a decade. What a difference that could have made. And they would be in their peak now, having already been around for 5 years. Could you imagine that?
Yeah, mental. Absolutely mental. Right, next question. Matty Still Mills says, in the World Cup qualifier reaction pod to the Norway game, Nima said Norway plays by focusing what they're good at and acknowledging what they're not good at. To me, that's good coaching, and the Norway coach is Norwegian. For countries at Norway's level, at least where they traditionally stand internationally, it would seem that coaching the national team is a top-tier career pursuit for their best and brightest. Is that still the case in Italy? In other words, if you hail from a country that's also home to a top 5 league, there's likely more money, glory, and status and less bureaucratic BS to wade through if you coach at the club level. Thus, the best Italian coaches, when in their primes, would likely not want to coach the Italian national team when they could be chasing Scudetti at Milan, for example. I know there's a litany of issues plaguing the national program, but when it comes to coaching, do you think this is one of them? It's an interesting point. What do you reckon?
So I'm just trying to understand the question. So what bureaucracy?
No, he's saying that is the Italy national team job basically, is it like as sexy as the clubs, the top clubs in the Serie A?
In general, in world football now, it's not anymore. The best coaches now manage in club football.
Yeah.
If we're just talking in general in world football, because that's where the money is. There's more money managing a big club team than it is managing a national team. Before, up until maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, the pinnacle for any coach was managing your country. Or managing a top country, but generally managing your nation. That was the pinnacle. That was like, you've made it. You've reached the top of your career, managing the national team. Now it's not. And that's why if you were to make a list of the top 10 coaches in world football, how many of them would be international managers? And if they are, they're generally old international managers, like Ancelotti, like who's 66 now, so it's that's really where it is. And I think for Italy, Yeah, to an extent. I think there is still some pride, though, with Italy. I think Italy is actually one of the few countries where there is still a sort of pride and desire to coach the Italy national team. For that's why Spalletti got the job. It's why even Conte managed to take the job at a certain point when in his career. So I still think there is that chance. We just don't really. Yeah, there's just other problems. Yeah. Gattuso was a bit of a basket case. How he got it. That was just shambolic with the FIGC and how the timing worked and everything. And yeah, but generally, yeah, I think that's the case.
I think that's fair. But like in Sweden and Norway and whatnot, it's a bit. In Sweden and Norway, it's a bit like, or it's an honor. Do you know what I mean? That's the biggest job in Swedish football or Norwegian football is the national team job. So yeah, well in Italy, Milan, Juve, Inter, or the Napoli or whatever, like a team that's fighting for the Scudetto is worth more. It just is. Jack Hacken says, "Hi guys, another question. Saw a report or rumor that Juventus was scouting Adrian Bernabe from Parma, and that got me thinking. Can you, Nima, and Carlo basically do a sort of preview for the Juventus Mercato based what kind of players they need to set the squad on a better path?"
Yeah, we'll do that in December. I promise you that. We'll do our usual kind of ahead of the January market. We'll go through the clubs, and we'll try and get some transfer experts. Maybe Pedula. I'm sure we'll probably be able to get him in for at least a show, where we can preview like what's going to be done, because there will be business done. Juventus will definitely sign players, midfielder definitely, and so will other clubs. Will look for players. Milan a striker, Roma a striker, Napoli a midfielder. It's going to be a lot of business done during the January market by the Italian clubs.
Yep. Riccardo Benvenuti writes, I've taken the liberty to do a Swiss model system for the current World Cup qualifiers UEFA division. Due to the fact that some teams play more games than others, I put them in order based on average points per game and included the goal difference. And I'll read you just the list. Norway first, England second, Spain third, France fourth, Croatia fifth, Germany sixth, Netherlands seventh, Switzerland eighth, and Austria ninth, Belgium 10th, Italy 11th, Poland 12th, Bosnia 13th, Turkey 14th, Portugal 15th, Scotland 16th. Now, and then Wales 17, Czechia, Slovakia, Denmark, Kosovo, Romania, etc., all the way down to 49, Gibraltar. He's made some really interesting observations. Top tier, points per game above 2.5. Norway, England, Spain, France, Croatia, Germany, Netherlands, the elite cluster. Then he's got something he calls strong contender, points per game between 2 to 4. Switzerland, Austria, Belgium, Italy, Poland, Bosnia, Turkey, Portugal, Scotland. Playoff zone between 1.6 to 1.8. Wales, Czechia, Slovakia, Denmark, Kosovo, Romania, North Macedonia, Ireland, Ukraine. And then, of course, the low tier, Northern Ireland, Hungary, Greece, Iceland, Finland, Montenegro. The bottom, Georgia, Bulgaria, Armenia, Latvia, Lithuania, Malta, Faroe Islands, Sweden, Moldova, etc., etc. I don't want to read all those countries up. But this again proves my point that this should have been a Swiss model, where the 12 top teams go directly to the World Cup, and then the remaining 4 spots are for the are in a playoff system from spots 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. That to me would have been more fair. Like, that's how it should be.
Yeah. I mean, I think
the Swiss model is the way to go. I really think so, because these qualifiers are boring.
If you want to try and not make them boring, yeah.
No, but also more fair, because then a win matters more. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the current format is farcical. There's no doubt about that.
This is much better
in a number of confederations, but UEFA number 1 is just a complete scandal.
But like, if you got 16 spots, and you're always going to have this discussion about which team and which draw and whatnot. Instead of home and away, do it like that. and everyone plays each other a certain number of, just like the Champions League, the Swiss model. The top 12 go through, and then the remaining 4, because you want to have 4 playoffs. So you have, the spots 13 to 20, draw home and away. That gives you another 4. That's sorted.
Yeah.
Just keep it simple, like it's just. Yeah, I think that would have been the fairest way, and then you would have also
than the current one. That's for sure.
Yeah, it would have made it much more easier. It would have been much more fair, in my opinion. Right. Let me see where I am on my thing.
Number 11.
CJ Barilla writes, "What's the funniest Diego Maradona story you know, other than the one where he did coke in the Pope's bathroom?"
There's so many, honestly. Like we could do about 100 Diego Maradona stories, and they'd all be there's so many. Like it's this life, just the most incredible life, just full of just the craziest, funniest, most memorable stories. I mean, I'll tell you, this is one story that wasn't actually his fault, actually, but the story that I love the most is the crazy story of Maradona impregnating Madonna.
Of course they did.
Which was 1989, and a local radio station in Naples announced that Maradona and Madonna were in a relationship. And not only that, but Madonna was expecting Maradona's child. And obviously the news spread like wildfire. And it was a bit awkward because, Maradona was engaged to be married at the time to Claudia. And he already was in a bit of a paternity battle over another child. And so it all got set off, basically. The radio station later admitted it was an April Fool's joke, right? But understandably, Maradona was furious at the radio station, and the radio station issued a groveling on-air apology, reportedly at the request of the Camorra. The Camorra threatened the radio station that there wouldn't be any more radio station if they didn't issue an apology.
They made him an offer he can't refuse.
Yeah. Maradona and Madonna. Imagine if they had a child.
I mean, it's just like, first of all, just the name Madonna Maradona. It's so obviously just a joke, and the fact that people took it seriously, and of course he was already under a lot of pressure and blah blah blah. Yeah, it's just madness. And yeah, it would be hilarious if Madonna and Maradona had a child. Right. Next question comes from Joe Leali. He says, Zinho Vanheusden just retired at the age of 26. What went wrong? He was considered a future world beater when Inter signed him at 16. This is a really, really sad story. Last week, Zinho Vanheusden put on Instagram that, actually, it wasn't last week. It was just 2 days ago. That he stopped playing football because of essentially after having sustained his third, knee injury, serious knee injury. He's had 2 ACLs. The first one he got when he was playing for in the UEFA Youth League match for Inter on 27th September 2017 against Dynamo Kiev. Then he went on loan to Standard Liège, and I remember this was during lockdowns because it was the 26th of April 2021 where he again did a ACL, and this video, because there were no crowd, you could hear him scream for pain, and it was genuinely one of the most gut-wrenching screams I've heard in my life, and it will haunt me for as long as I live. And then he broke his foot. After that, in 2022, in December, like, he has been so unlucky. And this is a player who was, he was really highly touted. He was called up to the Belgian national team when the Belgian national team was full of world beaters at every level, at every position. And he, it's just so sad.
Wasn't Zinho Vanheusden tagged as being one of the best players in his generation of his age in Europe, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was
position.
predestinato. Yeah, everyone was expecting great things from him. Now, at the age of 26, he said he's retired.
Centre back, right?
Yeah, and he was going to be the next big thing, but he his injuries destroyed him. And now, at the age of 26, he said, "I've decided to stop playing football because I want to be able to play with my son." That's how bad his body's been hurt. It's so sad, and it's again injuries. It's sad.
That's it. When you get an ACL is the killer. Like, you get an ACL, how many players come back from an ACL? Do you know what I mean? It's once you get one, very few are ever the same again.
Yeah, no, it's you're absolutely right. Right, next question comes from Jonas S. Construct the greatest Serie A 11 from the past 25 years, but you can only use one player from each team. And to make matters more simply, you must use a flat 4-4-2. And one, of course,
4-4-2.
4-4-2. And while, of course, it would come natural to our resident Rubentino cheating by picking, for instance, Buffon or Thuram from Parma to get more Rube players, in it is not allowed. Also, would this team be better than the equivalent from Premier League?
I'm sorry, you can't say that's not allowed. We'll be here all year if you're going to say, right, they've never played for the same club they never. That's not. I'm sorry, that's not possible, Jonas. It's not possible.
I mean, Parma the last 25 years. So from year 2000 onwards.
Parma?
Yeah.
Why Parma? You mean we just got to pick one from each team, right?
Yeah, but you could. Yeah, he thinks you can't choose Cannavaro, Buffon, or Thuram.
No,
if you do that, then you can't choose Crespo either. Like, that's just weird.
It's not possible.
Yeah, or Veron, or Conceição, or it's like
too many players have played for too many different teams. So
it wouldn't work. Yeah. So let's do a fucking 4-4-2 flat. It has to be Buffon in goal.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll have to represent Parma, because otherwise we limit ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Then defense. Left back, Maldini. Cannavaro, Nesta. So Nesta for Lazio, Maldini for Milan, Cannavaro for Juve or Inter.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's say Juve, because then I can choose Maicon as the right back.
Okay, you want to go with the big teams just for the defense? Okay, all right.
Well, because they are so good.
Well, I think what you want to do is I think you want to start off with who are the best players in Serie A the last 25 years, and then pick the best players from the clubs from that. So who's the best player in Serie A? So who do we want as our Roma player? We want Totti, right? So we stick to Totti up front, okay?
Because if I pick Cafu, then I can't pick Totti, and that would be heresy.
Yeah. Who do we want to pick from Napoli?
That's difficult. Cavani, Hamšík, Lavezzi, Higuain, Osimhen, Kvara. It's not easy, is it?
Okay.
But given it's a flat fucking 4-4-2, I think we should pick Kvara.
You want to go Kvara?
We don't have that many wingers. It's a 4-4-2.
Wait, so where do you want to play Kvara? Left midfield?
Yeah.
Okay, Kvara left midfield. Okay. Right. What other clubs are there? Who else we got? Fiorentina. Who do we want from Fiorentina?
So last 25 years.
Can we cheat? Batistuta. When did Batistuta join Roma? 2000. Let's cheat and let's have Batistuta. Last 6 months of 2000, we can have Batistuta.
Okay, cool. Batistuta and Totti.
Yeah, up front.
Batistuta and Totti up front. Kvara on left midfield.
Yeah. So then we can't have Pirlo. Was Pirlo at Brescia? Was Pirlo still at Brescia in 2000 or 2001?
Let me have a look.
Yes, he was. Because Baggio scored the goal. Baggio scored that goal against Juventus in 2000, didn't he? Or 2001. So yeah, Pirlo, Brescia, Pirlo, centre midfield. Yeah.
And Baggio in Brescia. No, you can't. It's Bologna. When did he play for? No, it was earlier. Fuck.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
Baggio's a striker. Baggio's we're sorry, we have to miss out Baggio.
Yeah. So Veron. No, we already had Lazio and Parma, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
When did Veron play for Sampdoria? It was before the noughties, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Mm.
What other clubs are there? Udinese. Who can we have from Udinese?
Ooh, we could have. What's his name? In 2000, when they were in the Champions League, you could pick quite a few. I mean, you could have Alexis Sanchez, Di Natale.
Let's have Alexis Sanchez right midfield. Yeah.
But we need another central midfielder.
Mm-hmm. So we're just missing a central midfielder and we're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, who do we have?
I'm just looking at the clubs.
Mm.
I'm looking at the clubs now.
Bloody hell, that's a good midfield. That's a good team.
Atalanta. Can we have an Atalanta? An Atalanta player?
Who do you have in mind?
Papu Ilicic. Yeah, maybe not.
Well, actually, Nicolo Barella played for Cagliari.
Okay, let's go Barella then.
Okay, Buffon in goal. Maldini, Cannavaro, Nesta, Maicon. Kvara, Pirlo, Barella, Alexis Sanchez, Batistuta, Totti.
To be honest with you, I would get rid of Maicon and put Zanetti. Zanetti is a next level from Maicon.
Yeah.
And then you've got you've got just that. Can you imagine scoring against that defense? Buffon, Zanetti, Maldini, Cannavaro, Nesta. You never scored against.
And then you've got Buffon in goal as well.
Zanetti instead of Maicon, and then you've got the three symbols of three symbols of their clubs there. Mad.
What a team that is. Then I wouldn't mind playing 4-4-2. Oh dear. Right, next question. Mahan Memarzadeh says, in my country, in Iran, pundits, coaches, and former players always say that when a team keeps wasting chances and the forwards don't finish their opportunities, it's no longer the coach's fault. And this is exactly the problems that Inter have had over the last 2 or 3 seasons. Since both Kiwa and Inzaghi have failed to fix this issue, it makes me wonder, is that reasoning actually correct? Or is it really not the coach's fault at all? Does it mean they can't do anything to improve the situation? What should they do? Or change the strikers? You know my opinion on this. I don't think Inter have a natural goal scorer since Icardi left. And it doesn't mean that I mean, Lautaro is a fantastic player. He's a much better player than Icardi ever was, but he's not a natural goal scorer the way that Icardi was. And that's the issue, in my opinion. Inter don't have a natural goal scorer.
Yeah, but how many natural goal scorers are there nowadays? There's not really many in world football that are top. There's Kane, there's Lewandowski, who's old.
But if anything, Ciro Immobile showed that you can score lots of goals.
But Ciro Immobile has never played. Wouldn't be good enough to play for Inter.
When he was at his best, I disagree. In a 2-man attack,
why did he never play for a big club and shine at a big club? He wasn't good enough. I'm sorry. Lautaro might be up and down, and he was bad in the Milan derby, but there's a reason why he's plays for Inter, and
that's true. Overall, as a player, I think no one would argue with that. I'm talking about a natural goal scorer.
Yeah, the problem is those natural
box in the box, Carlo.
Those natural goal scorers are very rare today because they need to be able to do the others, and there's only very few that can do the other stuff, and that's like a Harry Kane, a Lewandowski, who are just they're just, you can count on one hand or on a few fingers those strikers nowadays that would be good enough to do that role, even for an Inter, I would say.
Yeah, it's an interesting debate. Petter Jensen says, hi guys, question for the pod. This might be a coincidence, but I noticed that several of the players that pulled out of the Italy squad before the Norway game start for their clubs just a few days later. Both Calafiori and Udogie played 90 minutes in the London derby. Keane looked sharp against Juve. Add to that the Chiesa situation. You can't help but wonder if there's a moral issue within the team. No. On the same note, what kind of roles do Bonucci and Buffon really have? Since they both have no experience outside the pitch, I assume they're hired to boost the team's spirit or something like that. But I would argue that hiring two amateurs that coincidentally are close friends of the coach is not how you do things, especially if said coach has been a failure his whole managerial career. Yikes.
You know what? Somebody came into the cake shop yesterday and said this exact same thing. Because whenever people come in...
Have you been to Bedford?
No, so a friend that comes to the shop to do some deliveries now and again. He's a Milan fan, and he said exactly the same thing. Because whenever people come into the cake shop, they always want to speak to me. Obviously, they know I do the pod. And what did you just spit out there?
My nicotine pouch.
Fucking hell.
My snooze.
But the viewers are going to love that.
It's a Swedish thing. Don't worry about it.
Right, you keep spitting your teeth out, your false teeth.
No, it's my nicotine pouch. It's my snooze.
What was I going to say? Oh God, I've got to be thrown out. Yeah, no, he said he was having a go at Calafiori. He was saying, these players nowadays, they've got no love for the Italy national team like they used to. Because Calafiori, he doesn't play, and then a few days later, I see him play incredible for Arsenal in the North London derby. I mean, I don't think that's the biggest reason why Italy are failing, but I do think there's probably something in that. I respect Calafiori that at least he went, at least he flew over, not like these other guys who didn't even, they didn't even.
Yeah, but I don't blame Udogie, man. I don't blame Udogie.
Well, Udogie's been through a certain situation, but he still played for Tottenham. If it was such a problem, then he wouldn't play for Tottenham either, But maybe he just didn't get a call up. Maybe he just wasn't called up because he hasn't played much for Tottenham recently. He probably just didn't get a call up anyway. Chiesa's another situation, obviously. He needs to leave in January for sure. And I do think there's some truth there. That, again, probably a broader point. Do players, certainly in Europe, do they have that same love for the national team that players in the past do? I would say no. I think in South America, yes. Like Argentina, player for player, on paper, this Argentina team is not a particularly great team. The team that won the World Cup wasn't a great team. On paper, player for player. But Argentina seem to have this kind of inner quality that makes them play better than they are because they have so much love and togetherness and desire. They will die for Argentina, for their country, and you see that with this Argentina team. I genuinely do not believe that on player for player this Argentina team is anything special. Yes, they have some quality player. Messi still got quality. They still have Lautaro. They still have other guys. But so if Italy could show some of that, then yes, I'm sure they could be greater than the sum of their parts as well. I do believe, though, is a broader point in Europe. And this is probably partly due to, and this isn't me criticizing immigration. I'm a kid I'm a child of immigrants, but generally, many immigrants don't have the same love for the country that they immigrate to. Then this might sound like a controversial point, but generally, my experience, the immigrants that move over to a new country don't always, let's say, some do, many do, but not all, they don't always have the same love for the country they move to as maybe the natives do, when they're playing for their country.
Welcome to Carlo's announcement that he has joined the Reform Party. Carlo Farage.
I don't mean that to be controversial, and that I'm not saying that's the biggest reason why. I think a lot of it's down to just the way modern times are. The money you're paid by your clubs. Clubs don't like national players going to their national. They put a lot of pressure themselves. De Laurentiis, number one. De Laurentiis is always complaining. When they get injuries, I think Rahmani got an injury. I pay the players all this money, and we're the ones. Which I do kind of see the point there as well.
And then he goes and talks about the Visigoths.
yeah. So I think
that is the greatest rant I have ever read by him. Like his Visigoth rant is the best ever. Like, give the man a radio show. look, but it doesn't explain why Carboni or Chiesa or these guys. I mean, it's
No, I agree. Absolutely, I agree. I just meant that as a side note. There's
I
lots
know,
of
but
reasons.
I wonder if I don't know. I think it's complex. I think to your point about immigrants, not. I mean, it's got to also do with the fact that how included in the
Yeah,
society
and that's the
immigrants
reason
feel.
why.
And
Yeah,
yeah, there's lots of things in play here. And sometimes things take time, and a couple of generations have to pass before people feel really at home. And it's just it's very, very complicated.
if you take someone like Zlatan Ibrahimovic or even Balotelli, Mario Balotelli, like how wanted can they feel? I mean, we're talking extremes here. We're talking extremes. I don't want to make it about extremes.
No, but Balotelli and Zlatan
yeah.
is a perfect example of being othered their entire careers.
Yeah.
I mean, Zlatan was very vocal about this after he stopped playing to a certain extent, and the very public bust-ups he had with Jan Andersson were rooted in this, where he said, "Look, I kicked open a lot of doors, and you're trying to close them. I'm not having that." And then they mended fences, and Jan explained to him that he didn't meet, like, whatever. But the othering of people is, yeah.
No, absolutely, yeah.
It's a complex issue. It is a complex issue. It's not.
And I wanted to just stress that I'm not trying to make this a negative. I'm actually spinning it the other way, if anything.
No, I know you are. I mean, you're an immigrant yourself. You're the son of immigrants yourself, and I suppose to a certain extent,
I come from a town, Bedford, which is 1 in 3 people are of at least partial Italian descent. Now, amongst all my Italian friends, many of them, like me, were born in this country. So, depending on your definition of nationality, some would argue I'm English first, Italian second. Depends on your definition. Blood, where you were born, it depends. There's different ways of looking at it. Now among my Italian friends, I know, a lot of people that, wouldn't want to play for England. They want to play for Italy, and they don't support England at all, for example.
Yeah.
But then some of them might play for England because, and that happens a lot. You get a lot of players that who were born in a country that isn't their blood, let's say, their blood country and blood nationality, but they will play because for financial reasons or for logistical reasons, or it's good for their career. And, that poses another question as well. Like, would that same player have really rather played for the country that he feels more attached to? I feel more attached to Italy. It's just something.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know what I mean? So if I played for England,
100%.
If I played for England, or if I played for Italy, I'd probably have more desire playing in that Italy shirt than I would for that England shirt. This is just a small side note.
No, I mean, it's an interesting debate because it's also, I think it's an interesting discussion because it's like identity, where you feel at home, where you feel connection with, and so on and so forth. These are complicated matters, and they transcend lots of things. It's not just politics; it's history. It's family history. It's the individual's history, the mannerism in which that family fled or moved to another country. That is also very decisive. Did they have a choice, or were they refugees? I mean, there's so many things that come into play. It is interesting
how you're treated, how you're welcomed in that new country, but
exactly.
Also on your own side, how will you join in with that new country?
How you integrate? How you integrate yourself? Yeah. How you integrate yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. You separate yourself. It goes both ways.
Of course it does. Of course it does. It's very interesting. And also that specific country, what kind of nationalism does it have? I mean, is it like, for example, countries like Canada, the United States, or Australia, which are essentially immigrant nations? Everyone is a descendant from somewhere else if you go 1 or 2 generations back, Or is it a country like Sweden or Italy that traditionally, only has had immigration for the last 50, 60 years. There's so many variables. And it's not an easy talk. It's not a straightforward talk, rather, these issues. And nowadays, with everything being so politicized, it's really difficult to.
No, that's why I wanted to expand on my initial point before everybody starts going, "Oh, yeah, you don't like immigrants." And
Carlo Robinson. What would your racist name be? Because that's not his real name, by the way. His name is Stephen Lennon, and he goes by Tommy Robinson, so that's not his real name. So if you had a race, what would be like if you were like a racist? What would your racist name be?
Oh God, I don't bloody know.
Carl
from Bedford. Carl from Bedford. Wasn't that my alter ego anyway?
Carl from Bedford. I love it. Your EDL name, would it be Carl from Bedford?
Probably, yeah.
Brilliant. Right, next question. Abdulkarim Abbas says, "Hi guys, my first question sent in. Well, nice to hear you. Nice. Thanks for this. Please send in more. What are your thoughts on this Italy lineup? He's playing a 4-3-1-2. Donnarumma, Cambiasso, Buongiorno, Bastoni, Calafiori, Tonali, Locatelli, Ricci, Barella as the number 10, Retegui and Keane."
I mean, 4-3-1-2. When was the last time any manager used the 4-3-1-2? I mean, that was going out of date. I mean, let's not say football's cyclical. Tactics is cyclical. But yeah, I think the 4-3-1-2 in today's day and age
is
I
dead.
don't know.
Because teams are so good at closing off spaces centrally that it would just it wouldn't work, unfortunately. I loved it when it was much more central. But who knows? He will come back maybe. Peter Fry.
Barella's not a 10 anyway either. So
No, he isn't. He really isn't. I'd rather see him in that 6 role, to be honest. Peter Fry, question for the pod. I honestly think it's important to Juve's identity to have a strong Italian core. If you agree, which 3 Italian players realistically available would you recommend Juve to buy? Thanks for the great work, Pete. I've always said this, that for Inter, Milan and Juve, it is imperative to not just have an Italian core, but even I would go further and say someone from the city, even if possible. I think that's when, that's the same thing for Roma, same thing for Napoli, same thing for Lazio, like Fiorentina as well. Like, I think it's very important because of the identity that the role that these clubs play in the relationship with the city, and to kind of be a bridge between the city and the players, the other players. I think it's really important. So yeah, I think which players? Tonali, Donnarumma.
Well, what Juventus should have done is they should have signed Calafiori when they had the chance at a pretty bargain price. But instead, they decided to spend that money, or more than that money, on other shit players. So Calafiori, they could have.
Don't hold back, Carlo. Don't hold back.
Calafiori, then Udogie is in a bit of a delicate situation at Tottenham. So they could have maybe got Udogie as well. So there, all of a sudden, you've got Udogie, you've got Calafiori, Cambiasso. I think there's enough potential there, not to be a core player, but to be involved as part of at least the squad. So there you go. So you've got 3 there already, and then again, you could have had Moise Kean. If you hadn't thrown him away. Tonali obviously is a dream, but I just think too expensive for Italian clubs. And if you do find a way of signing him, you're going to blow all your budget on him when you've got so much work to do. I just don't think that serves. So I mean, if we're looking at what might have been, they could have done that. As to what could they do now, I'm sorry, I just don't think it's possible. I'm just looking at the players available. They're not there, or they're at other big clubs. The potential core Italian players play for Inter, and the only other one is Tonali, and then maybe Moise Kean. But Juventus are not going to bring him back again for a third time, or Donnarumma, who's now at City. So yeah, I just don't think those players are there.
Yeah, agreed. Next question, Gianmarco the Modest says, "Ciao guys, thank you for always."
I love that name, by the way.
I love it. His name is Modesto. It has to be Modesto. Gianmarco, please let us know. It is Modesto, right? So that's why you're calling yourself the modest.
It reminds me of like the Roman emperors when once it got to about 300 AD and they just started giving them ridiculous names because the empire was falling and it just become like, let's just give them the most stupid names. Like I can imagine like that being a Roman emperor in like 400 AD, like Gianmarco the Modest, who appointed his horse as a consul.
He writes, ciao guys, thanks for always taking my questions and for the beautiful community you've built for us here. Well, thank you guys. All of you are the ones who make the community beautiful, so thank you to all of you. Now that we're on the brink of not making a third consecutive World Cup, I've been hallucinating about ways to improve the national team. I've lost almost 10 years of my life expectancy supporting Milan, and this national team will be the nail in my coffin. So, in short, should FIGC take extreme measures like having a rule where each team needs to have at least 4 Italians in the starting squad in Serie A, 2 of whom 24 or under, it's the only way we can develop the gems we produce at youth level. Thanks. I just don't think that's compatible.
We get this question regularly now, and I understand. And you know, many even Capello was talking that something needs to be done like this. But like we've said many times, it's kind of enforcing that while you're part of the EU with EU employment law. I don't think you can actually make a law about it. What you can do, in an ideal world, you'd have some kind of unwritten law, but Italian clubs are not going to do that. Some kind of incentive is like we said, would be the
incentivize it. I think. Yeah. I think incentivizing is give a Champions League spot to the team with the most that gives a minimum of 5,000 minutes to under 21 players per season. Italian under 21, and it has to be like, you know, you can like they have to start at least 10 games. Do you know what I mean? Like something like that.
Yeah.
Incentivize it, something like that. Right, if it's possible with UEFA, but I don't, but just something. Next question, Igor Lipovat says, hi, quick one for the pod. Andy Diouf as a potential Dumfries alternative. I have a feeling it could work. The reason why I'm laughing is because the last few days, this Diouf thing, it's become the new Fratesi. Where do we play him? Do we play him at exactly like Fratesi? Do we play him at right wing back? Do we play him at right centre back? Do we play him as a number 10? Do we play him as a number 6? That's why I'm laughing.
He actually played quite well. He played quite well when he come on in those last 5-10 minutes. He did. Yeah, he played well. Yeah. He played well.
Yeah. Hopefully it goes well. Again, Luis Enrique and Andy Diouf. Kivu needs to start giving these guys a shot, and they need to show that they can do it. But. Yeah.
I don't think you can't do the Augusto experiment again. No. I don't think. Not in big games, anyway.
No. Next question. André Barilaro says, ciao, Gianmarco. Question about the pod about the attitudes of this Inter squad. Do they lack cattiveria or grinta? The squad seems to lack ruthlessness or meanness about the play. No team seems to be to fear playing this Inter squad. Is a proper Brexit style destroying midfielder the solution? I don't know. I don't think it's that. I think it might be a fact that this has been it's this ball playing Joga Bonito Inter that have been successful in Europe. Maybe it's Diego Simeone. Bring him in. I think that's what it is, more than anything else.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, as we said, we discussed this at length on Monday. I think they're been a little bit soft in big moments, but I did see after we'd recorded on Monday on Sky Calcio Club, they were discussing this about the number of counter-attacking goals on transitions that Inter have conceded. I'm not sure if it was just this season and it also went into last season, but it was definitely this season. So there's definitely a clear, call it a tactical weakness there, that they are open on transitions. As we saw with the goal where they were left 3-on-3, Çalhanoğlu lost it, and suddenly it was 3-on-3. It seems to be that I think Inter are one of the top, despite doing as well as they are quite near the top of the table or bottom of the table, whichever way you want to look at it, for conceding chances on transitions, on counter-attacks. Yeah. So that's obviously something that might be sort of like a weakness of the Kivu formation that they probably need to look at. So I think they surely will have identified that by now. If that is a tactical issue,
or if it's a
personnel issue, it might be a personnel issue. Yeah,
I think it's a combination of both, but I think with Kivo it's very, very obvious that he addressed it, but now in big games it becomes ruthlessly evident. The smaller teams or the lesser quality teams aren't able to capitalize on it in the same way.
No.
Sanat says, with all the doom and gloom around Italian football, which is justified, I wanted to know if you'll have interacted with anyone in or outside the federation who have shown the right chops for the job running Italian football. If you had to take your picks, what group of individuals would you have running would you have running football in Italy? FIGC, Lega Calcio, Serie A, etc.
It's a great question. So I wish I had the answer for you. Because
I would have Colina as the head of referees. That's all that. Just let him run that. As for the head of FIGC, I would have liked to have seen Tomassi and Albertini given a shot when they were candidates.
Yeah, they ran independently, didn't they?
Yeah. Would have been interesting to see.
It needs to be somebody completely outside the system, unfortunately. It can't be somebody that's already poisoned by the system. Basically the same view that I have with politics in general. It's why I don't vote, and it's why I think people that complain, not complain, understand it like it's it's basic democratic. So one of our basic rights is to be able to vote. But when people kind of argue and complain over right versus left and the Labour versus Conservatives or Democrat versus Republicans, and it's change, we need a new prime minister and a new president to make change.
Doesn't matter.
I just think, what are you even? Why are you
Lipstick
even wasting
on a pig?
Why are you even wasting your energy? The system is poisoned. It doesn't matter who the person is in charge. It doesn't matter which party it is. They're all working for the same people. So you need the whole system needs to be overthrown, and that's the problem. There's no point us sitting here and saying yes, Kalina should be this person or Tomasi, or if they're working in the same system with the same people in the other positions of power, nothing is going to change. Nothing will happen. The whole system needs to be completely torn up, revolutionized. There needs to be massive purges, just purge everything. It needs to be like Stalin in the 1930s. It purge millions. No, it's not millions. I wish there was millions. There's not many. The few control the many, unfortunately. The many suffer.
Oh dear. Right. Nick Passaretti says, pod question, with all the penalty miss complaints by Nima, who should take the penalties now? Well, Çalhanoğlu still has the highest average, and it certainly isn't Lautaro Martinez, as I saw some reporters say. I
saw that. They don't say anymore. I don't want to be horrible.
But no, it shouldn't be Lautaro or anyone like that. So
he's only missed 2.
Yeah,
and they've both been in the same. They've both been in the same minute as well.
74th minute. Yeah, I saw that.
That is a coincidence, isn't it?
Right. Vito Campanelli says, hi guys, help me understand why Kivo does the same thing Inzaghi does last season, where the only thing that the top Serie A clubs need to do is absorb the offensive onslaught that Inter brings and wait for Inter to make a mistake, score, then park the bus and win 1-0. It happens every single game, and Inter does it over and over again. I think the mentality of this Inter team is so fragile, and this team needs an overhaul to bring in fresh players. Your thoughts? One other thing no one is talking about is how these fragile mindsets at Inter is the exact same fragile mindsets that the Italian national team has, which isn't surprising since the best players on the national team are all from Inter. So what does this Inter team do? They just can't start selling Bastoni, Di Marco, Barella, and Lautaro. So where do they go from here? I don't know. As I said, I think it's a new coach with a new system and a new identity, a new mindset is what I would do. And I think that's the. I think I'm leaning towards that. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe, but I would just say that at the end of the day, despite Inter losing 4 games, they're in truth they're 1 point off the top of the table, because I don't consider Roma a Scudetto challenger. So for me, they're 1 point behind Milan and Napoli. They're 1 point behind the teams they're fighting for the Scudetto. So having had by far the hardest fixture list so far, having played the 3 Juventus, Inter, and Milan all away from home. So to only be 2 points behind or 1 point behind their title rivals, having had such a hard fixture list, I think that they're in a great position. Yes, there's we can look at strengths and weaknesses, but I don't think there's any reason to panic. It's just if they just keep taking care of the smaller teams, they're going to be challenging for the Scudetto.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I think most Inter fans would have probably taken this. If you said to people at the beginning of the season, right, at the end of November, you're going to be 1 point behind Napoli and Milan, given that fixture list and a little bit uncertainty, certainly with Kivu, I think everybody would have been delighted. So I guess it depends whether you look at it half full or half empty, really. I think it's, when you take a step back from the immediate kind of disappointment and emotion, especially, there's no doubt losing all these big games is an issue. It's going to be an issue in the Champions League for sure. If you don't want to go deep in the Champions League in the knockout stage, they're going to have to sort out that big team thing. But they didn't have that big team problem in Europe last year, as you discussed quite well, on the last show. So it's an interesting one. Interesting.
I want to see Cholo Simeone. I think it's time to go back to basics. Inter should go back to their identity and their history. And that is.
I was thinking about Cholo Simeone though, and I'm just thinking the fact that he's been at Atletico Madrid for 14 years now. Like, has he become sort of like, what's the word? When you're, someone's been in prison for 40, 50 years and they suddenly come out and what do you call that? There's a word for
institutionalized.
That. Institutionalized, yeah. Do you think that having been at one club for so long, like now coming out of that, even though of course he knows Inter and he's a strong character, I don't know. I think there is a certain question mark there that he's been at one club for so long. Like, has he become a bit institutionalized to suddenly then take on a new job? I don't know. I was thinking about that.
I hope not, but I do think what I would like to see him take over Inter is because I think the character he is, and the fact that it would be a complete breakaway from everything we've seen from Spalletti to now at Inter. And I think sometimes it's good to change things, hit the reset button and change things completely. He's very good friends with Javier Zanetti, with Cambiasso. I think it would be a little bit going back to basics, a little bit like Milan did when appointing Allegri, if you know what I mean. Going back to basics. I think that could be good for Inter. I really think so. Final question, Sergio Leone. Do you not think UEFA and FIFA have a clear agenda to help England win an international football tournament ASAP? Is this have you told Sergio to send this, Carlo? Between the easy draw and 3 of the last 4, this is definitely you sending. Between the easy draws and 3 of the last 4 tournaments, playing 6-7 games at Euro 2020 at Wembley, this is definitely you. And then being awarded Euro 2028 as part of a UK bid, despite essentially playing a home tournament in 2020 and not being punished for the disgraceful scenes in the final. Let's not forget a referee previously involved in a match-fixing scandal being allowed to take charge of a semi-final against the Netherlands in the Euro 2024 and messing up. FIFA's also just announced that for the first time, the top 4 seeds will not meet until in the semis until the next summer if they win their group. You guessed it. England is a top 4 seed. Can it get more obvious?
Wait, this is FIFA. Let me just read that last line. I didn't know that. FIFA has just announced that for the first time, the top 4 seeds
will not meet until the semis of the World Cup if they win their group.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, if they win their group. Right. Okay. Got that.
You guessed it. England is the top 4 seed. Can it get any more obvious? This is clearly Carlo with a fake mustache and glasses sending in this question.
Listen, I don't know about FIFA, but UEFA, absolutely, England has No, you can roll your eyes. The power that England has within UEFA is,
of course, the Premier League.
There's not even a debate. There's no debate. It's all there on show. And it's a simple reason for that. Is, well, two reasons. Number one, the federation, the country that has the most money, that's the financial superpower.
Yeah.
It's just natural, not just in football, but in any kind of political, in any politics. The country that has the most money and the most power is going to have the most influence. That's just natural. That's just common sense and logic. There's nothing controversial about saying that. And that's been shown throughout history. When Italy, and I can say this now, when Italy in Serie A was the richest, we got favours. So it's just how it is. And then number two is the Super League. There would be no UEFA. UEFA would be finished if that Super League had gone ahead, been organised properly, and there hadn't been the revolt and the Premier League together with the Boris Johnson, they hadn't, which is all on record, by the way, hadn't brought down the Super League. Their life, they wouldn't be alive anymore. The league would be dead. The federation would be dead. UEFA would be dead as a governing body, as a European governing body. So they owe England forever, really, to be honest with you.
True.
And yes, absolutely. Have they got? Of course they have. I mean, it's there. You've just read them out. It's pretty. The number of Champions League finals that Wembley and England keep getting, and the number of tournaments they keep getting. There's no doubt about that. There's no way that you.
The thing is, the counter argument to that is, of course, that Wembley is one of the most modern stadiums. Munich is one of the most modern stadiums, and that's why they keep getting it. They won't be able to say that after the Bernabeu and the new Camp Nou have been done up.
Okay, well, that's Champions League, but how do you explain the Euros?
Well, that's the same thing. Same thing with the Euros. Like, now there's actually so many super stadiums being built that they won't have that excuse. It's going to be very interesting.
Well, yeah, but there was no reason whatsoever that Euro 2028 that it shouldn't have gone somewhere else. I mean, I know they're.
Where is it? I can't remember. What was it? Is it in Ireland?
Britain. Yeah, it's Britain. Yeah, but all the main games, like they're. I mean, England will play all their games at Wembley.
No. I'm saying Euro 2028. It's in Ireland and the UK, right? So yes. Scotland, Wales, England, Northern Ireland.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But all of England's games are at Wembley, so it's a home tournament for them. Yeah,
of course. But then that means that Wales will play all their games in Cardiff. Ireland will play all their games in Dublin.
I would imagine so. It's Scotland a home tournament for England. It's a home tournament. So it's a second home tournament in 3 tournaments. I mean, that's never happened ever in football history. So it shouldn't. It should not. I mean, that is bad. That's bad. That shouldn't be right. That shouldn't be. If we're supposed to be, spreading football around, giving opportunities to new countries, it shouldn't be that England get 2 tournaments in 3. That is.
Yeah, especially when Scandinavia hasn't hosted anything since 1992, and I know that they've tried to get it many times as well. And you want to talk about stadiums. I mean, Stockholm, Copenhagen, Oslo, they have modern state-of-the-art stadiums. So it would be nice to have it in Scandinavia as well, like move it around a bit.
As for the easy draws, yeah, it is true. They have had easy draws, but I don't, unless you believe in the theories of the hot balls and things like that. I think they've just been lucky. England, they've just been really lucky with the draws, because it is true. Every tournament they've literally had a bye to the final, in pretty much every tournament. In terms of if you actually look at the teams that they've beaten since their great run under Southgate started in 2018. Have a look at World Cup 2018, Euro 2020, World Cup 2022, Euro 2024. Have a look at the teams that they've beaten on the route to where they've finished up. And basically, they barely played a top team in any of those tournaments. I think they played France in 2022, then they lost in the quarterfinal. They played Germany and Italy in the Euros in 2020, and I think that's, apart from Spain in the final. Apart from that, basically, they just played really bad teams in those tournaments.
Yeah. Right. That's all the questions you guys had sent in this week. Please do remember to send in your questions via DM on Patreon. We'll by the time you listen to this, we will be we'll be pushing this out on Thursday. We're recording this on a Wednesday. Carlo did a post-match reaction on Juve yesterday. I'm going to be doing one on Inter, Atletico Madrid, and Atalanta tonight. So we'll be back next week with a full review of the weekend's action and much more fun stuff coming out, and an interview as well, potentially coming out next week. So yeah, make sure to check all this stuff out. But do send, as I said, do remember to send in your questions via DM on Patreon. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Ciao, ciao.